Hey everybody, so I'm back with my first video, my first real video anyway, and I was thinking about what I wanted to do, and I was thinking maybe a holiday martini, but you know, we have all December for that, and what better way to start a cocktail channel than to talk about probably the most famous martini of all time, and that would be the one that James Bond made famous in Casino Royale in like the 50s. So I did make a little alteration to it, but I'll show you what that is as we go along. So let's just bang on the details. Alright, so first off, we're going to need some kind of mixing glass. Now this can be a pint glass like I'm using right here, or it can be a non-tapered mixing glass, which is probably ideal, but let's face it, if you're in uni and you don't have the 60 bucks to spare, this works just fine. So to begin with, all that you need to do is fill it with ice. Here's where it gets interesting. So in this crazy bottle, I have some Plymouth gin. I just rebottled it for aesthetics. And in here I'm going to put two ounces of Plymouth gin. I use Plymouth gin because it's so much softer than Gordon's, which is what the recipe originally calls for. And I find that makes for a much smoother martini experience. So, actually no, that's 2.5. This is where it comes in. Okay, so in the Vesper martini, it's 3 measures of gin, 1 measure of vodka, and 1 measure of quina Lillet, which is what the Lillet Blanc was called at the time. But in my recipe, I take out the vodka just because I find it makes it too sharp for my liking, and I think it's probably a bit softer on the palate, especially if you're not used to martinis. So an extra ½ ounce of Plymouth gin it is. So if you did want to do a regular Vesper, that would just be a ½ ounce of vodka in place of the extra ½ ounce of gin. Now here's the product that you probably don't have in your bar, but you might, you never know. Like I said, in the original recipe, this was called quina Lillet, but now the same product essentially is called Lillet Blanc, and I don't know if it's made by the same people, but it has the same herbal and fruity notes that Lillet Blanc has over something, let's say like a dry vermouth, which I find, I know it's not the right way to describe it, but probably a little brinier. It definitely doesn't have as much flavor as this does, and like I said, this martini is all about being soft right now, even though James Bond is quite masculine. So we're going to keep with that and put ½ ounce of this into our mixing glass. This is the only martini I like wet, actually. Most martinis I like super dry with just a kiss of dry vermouth. But this is a different game, and that's Lillet Blanc and not dry vermouth. Back to the story. We're going to use a bar spoon, which you can get much anywhere these days. And, you know, the correct way is to put it in this way, obviously, but if you're just beginning with mixing drinks, you're actually going to want to turn it upside down and put the dull end without the spoon into your glass. So you want to start stirring right around the ice, and you want to make sure not to chop the ice, because what you're trying to do is keep the drink from getting overly diluted as I make a mess here. Not my finest work. And you're going to stir until you see a little bit of a frost developing on the outside of the glass. Now we're going to take a Hawthorne strainer. Basically this is just going to make sure that no ice chips or anything get into our drink. I've had a cocktail glass chilling with some ice just to get it nice and cold on the side. So now I'm just going to empty the ice. As you can see, a frost has developed. Put my Hawthorne strainer onto my mixing glass and just gently pour the mixture right in. And what you'll notice that the stirring does as opposed to the shaking, and this is why I do stir instead of shake, is you get a crystal clear drink without any of the ice chips as you would when you shake. Now the final thing left to do, and this is probably James Bond's signature trademark, is I'm taking one of these zester peeler type deals, and you're going to make a really long, thin zest of lemon. Do this over the glass because you're actually releasing a lot of essential oils when you do this, and that's just going to make the drink all the more delicious. I tend to curl mine before I let it fall in. This is just aesthetics, you definitely don't have to do that step. And there you have it, a Ms.Bond as I like to call it, and I hope you enjoy, and I'll talk to you soon. Cheers!